So I just got done watching Andor Season 2, Episode 2, titled Sagrona Teema, and now we're gonna talk about it. If you saw my review for Episode 1, you'll know that I thought it was a pretty strong season opener. It definitely had that first episode back vibe. You know, lots of catching us up, reintroducing characters, re-establishing dynamics, but never in a way which felt like recap, because it weaved in actual tension and stakes right from the offset. Well, Sagrona Teema basically continues to do this. We are very much still operating in that slow burn, simmering tension area, where everything is relatively buttoned up, but you just know that things will soon boil over because you know, they have to. You can't have a story without conflict. Now, depending on how you felt about episode 1, that's either a good thing or maybe a little frustrating, because Sagrona Teema isn't really about escalation. It's about pressure, holding the tension, tightening the screws, watching these already frayed characters try, and mostly fail, to hold themselves together. And I reckon this is most clear in the Cassian plotline, where we find the poor guy still stuck in the middle of this mini-rebel civil war. I personally find these scenes to be pretty fascinating because these are technically the good guys. They're rebels, they're fighting the oppressive empire, they're on the right side, right? Well, maybe, but you don't really like them. They're just kind of petty and unprofessional. And there's also the fact they're stopping our main protagonist from moving the story forward. But I think this is something Andor does so well. This show is really not a fan of giving you these neat moral binaries. No, it gives you people. People who are scared, desperate, and broken, and who, even while fighting for the right thing, are completely capable of being selfish, short-sighted, and cruel. Cassian, of course, knows exactly what he's dealing with here. You can see it all over Diego Luna's performance in this episode. He's not trying to rally them or save them or do some Toshiro Mifune / Clint Eastwood in Yojimbo / A Fistful of Dollars thing. No, he's just trying to survive them. Every conversation he has, every sidelong glance, every careful non-answer, it's all about buying time, about waiting for the right moment. And man, it was so funny when those group of rebels realized they could just very slowly push the ship around to fire at the other group. Like, yeah, why not? That actually makes a lot of sense. Guys, they're introducing new creative ways of combat which actually make sense. But that's the thing, very little of the violence in this show actually feels cinematic. No, it's quick, it's clumsy, it's brutal and ugly. Much like violence in, you know, the real world. Like, take this entire forest scene. It's basically just a bunch of exhausted people, all technically on the same side, panicking and turning on each other like animals. Anyway, luckily Andor is eventually able to escape, so I'm not sure if we'll ever see any of those rebels again, or even if they survived. But I also just loved this reveal of those Guatemalan temples that they also have over on Yavin 4. You know, the location of the rebel base in A New Hope. Like, what are the odds they have the very same Guatemalan temples on this planet, in a show about the origins of the rebellion? It's a crazy coincidence. Meanwhile, over on Chandrilla, Mon Mothma continues to suffer through what is maybe the longest, most depressing wedding party in the galaxy. It's honestly brutal stuff. That woman really does need to #escape the culture. She's spending what feels like an entire week pretending to be this dutiful politician, doing the whole high society act, while knowing full well that the walls are closing in around her. Not only does she have to deal with this guy, Tay Colmner, or whatever his name is, who's starting to chicken out about the whole rebellion funding thing, but yeah, honestly, this guy just needs to get a grip. I mean, what actually happened to him? His wife left him and he's losing all his money? Yeah, that's actually pretty bad, to be fair. I'd probably be paranoid as well. But anyway, not only does she have to deal with him, but she also has to deal with her annoying husband, who's, well, how do I put this? He's just your classic, you know, white guy in a kimono. Do you know what I mean? He just has that vibe. I never knew I wanted a Star Wars show where characters drink and gossip about infidelity, just like people on Earth. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to watch. We also checked in with Bix and Brazo and those other characters as well, and, well, things aren't looking great. The Empire is doing audits, and I'm pretty sure not everyone on this farm has valid space visas. We have to endure this particularly nasty little scene where a slimy Imperial officer tries to flirt with Bix while casually investigating her, and yeah, it's really creepy. It's like the opening scene of Inglourious Basterds, but if Christoph Waltz was simultaneously putting the moves on that French guy with the beard. Special shout out to Brazo for stepping in like an absolute legend, though. And finally, we have to address the most shocking reveal, maybe in the entire history of this godforsaken franchise. Yes, even bigger than I Am Your Father. I am of course talking about the moment where we see Dedra Miro, who's maybe my favourite character on the whole show, with her hair down, just chilling in her house, you know, humanizing the enemy and everything. And then Cyril steps into frame. You know, the Redditor from last season. Who may or may not resemble certain political commentators on this very website. These guys are apparently now living together, and you know what? I'm happy for them. Don't get me wrong, I have no idea how this relationship works. It's not usually something I would even think about, but I mean, come on, you have to wonder what the dynamic is here. Like, who cooks? Who pays the bills? Who handles the taxes? Like, when they get their tax mail, their electronic space tax mail, who picks up that letter? You know, there's many more things we can speculate on, but I'm gonna have to stop myself there. Who really knows? Maybe we'll see more of their fascist husband and wife roleplay in future episodes. I really hope we do. But anyway, that's basically going to be it for Andor Season 2, Episode 2, Sagrona Teema, which, by the way, I think is one of those sayings Mon Mothma's douchey husband says in his weird, culty speech. Overall, I thought this was another solid episode. These early entries do tend to have this thing where they sort of end the second they actually get going, but if my memory serves me correctly, the first season of Andor also had this feel during its first chapter. It's very much focused on laying groundwork and continuing to build the tension, and I do predict that the next episode will really be the first time we see some of that pressure currently being built begin to explode, which should be enjoyable to watch. The review for episode 3 will be out tomorrow, but until then, I hope you have a good day. May the Force be with you, or whatever.